Alright, so I wanted to give another update on where I've been with this StarBound Conquest game. So a lot has changed in the past couple of weeks. I bought the domain, so now I own StarBoundConquest.com, and I set up a NG Inks proxy server to host it myself. That was super tough, and my web server is Node.js, and that was super tough. But I've got a lot done in how I want this game to run, and so I kind of want to show it off. But anyway, so again, I don't own the rights to these names or these images. Eventually down the road, I would like to pay somebody to make my own art. But for now, since I'm using this with my friends, I'm not too worried about it. So there's 6 different classes, or different factions of ships you can choose from. They don't do anything. There's no special rules yet. It's just working, so in a minute I'll show the game, but you can use a drop down, and for the different class of ship you can pick the different faction. Pretty cool. Okay, so that's kind of new. Really, the big things are so these are all the functions. I'm sure there's probably a nicer way to import 100 functions, but I did 40 of them. I don't know. So these functions are all in this folder, so they're all like separate. It doesn't look nice, but it looks nicer than what it could have been. So I need to work on that. Okay, so the big things that I've done are a hex-based grid for the game, and so let's go over the first one. The first one is, so the things that I did not do, I used the internet to find it. I didn't draw the grid, and I didn't do pan and zoom. I found those all online and implemented them. So anyway, the first big change is now there's a grid. So you have this function here that draws the grid. This is the function that draws the hex. I wouldn't know how to do any of that. This was a little tough. But I've been staring at this for a while, so it kind of makes sense. So anyway, when the game runs, the board, it draws this grid over the image, and I'll show you. So that's another thing that's been completed. The second thing is, I don't know if I talked about ship rotation, but I got ship rotation to work. Now, when you twirl the mouse wheel up or down, it only goes clockwise. So if you go up, it doesn't go counterclockwise, but if you go up or down, it goes the same direction. But I didn't necessarily need the socket I/O thing, because that's kind of more of a multiplayer feature, but it's neat to see. So when the ship is rotated, it's emitted to the clients, to all the clients, so they see it, and it's getting the ship data rotation angle, and it's changing it by what ship is selected in the index from the array of ships. Because when you select it, or when you hover over it, it says you're selecting this ship at this index, and then you're rotating that angle based on your mouse wheel. The other thing is ship deletion. You double click on a ship, it splices it out of the index based on what ship you're hovering over, and then it also emits that data back to the other clients. So when you refresh the page, it doesn't stay in the array, it takes it out and deletes it. So that was super cool. Let's see, my draw scene. The only thing around the draw scene that is different is just keeping track of the rotation. The other neat thing is so I wasn't too sure how to do bases. You know, if you play a tabletop board game, or something like D&D, characters have a base that they stand on. I didn't know how to do that digitally, so what I did was, again, using Google and YouTube and honestly GPT. I'm not gonna lie, it helped a lot. To be able to draw the hex base underneath of the icon is this, which was pretty scary. This whole function is pretty tough. So what this is doing is it's drawing a hex underneath. This function just draws the hex, and based on what size that I want it, it draws it based on what ship you select. So when you click on a ship, when you clicked on a ship here, it highlights it, and then when it's highlighted, it draws the hex grid underneath of it. But what it also does, so you can see it, it changes the opacity to like half up here in the draw scene. So when clicked on, it draws both the hex grid or the hex shape underneath of it. That's the same size as the hex grid for the game, and it changes its opacity, which is somewhere in here. Oh, here it is. Draw hex. When it's highlighted, it draws the hex grid, and then it changes when you let go of the mouse, it takes the global alpha for your selected ship back up to 1. But if it's selected, the global alpha is half, so you can see through it. And then when it's not selected, then it's back up to 1. Okay, so grid, hex-based bases, and the other thing is pan and zoom. So the idea of StarBound Conquest is hopefully you're going to have a decent sized map. You'll have different elements that you can interact with. You're flying ships all over the place, and you're managing an empire two-dimensionally. So you're probably going to want to zoom out. The zoom function works for the most part, but what it does, it only zooms out from the top corner, not from where your mouse is. Again, that doesn't really bug me too much. The other thing that doesn't necessarily work is when you are zoomed out and select a ship, because your ship is here, now your hitbox has been adjusted. I haven't figured out how to adjust the hitbox, which is here. This is selecting what ship is. This is your hitbox for your ships right here. So I put in a percentage here. So what this percentage is doing, at 100%, the hitboxes work fine. But if you zoom in or if you zoom out, they're all funky. So I put a percentage indicator to tell you at 100%, that's where you are. I don't know if I'll fix it. It doesn't really bug me. This isn't going to be something that a bunch of people are going to play. It's just to mess around. Okay, so I think that's most of it. Now, that's most of the front end stuff. Now, so I said I bought the domain name for StarBound Conquest, and I don't necessarily have a way to host it. I can't afford it right now. So what I did was I tried to figure out a way to host it myself. Well, I had to do something called proxy server proxy. I'm not even 100% positive what it is. But between YouTube and Google, I was able to kind of, fudge my way through it. And GPT. Again, I'm not going to lie. I used it to ask questions. I was able to get it to work. So now my game can be hosted by myself, which is awesome. My desktop just kind of stays on. Okay, so there's that. And I'll show all this in just a sec. Now, the thing that I just finished was, there's this kid on YouTube. I don't know if I can show it. I don't know if it's copyright or not. Anyway, this guy, this is a very, 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 very simple login using Node.js and EJS file extensions. I don't know. But I was able to follow through the tutorial and get it to work. So now there's a login, but it stores the passwords in a local variable. So when the page refreshes, it kind of deletes them. As long as I leave the computer on, your login information is okay. But I'm not always going to leave the computer on. So eventually I want to figure out how to send it to a database along with the image of the canvas, which is right here. It's saving the canvas to data URL, and then it's adding it to local storage. So I talked about that a while ago, but I need to save it to a 64-bit something or other. So that's going to be next. I'm done with classes for this semester. I got a couple weeks off, but I also still want to work on the mobile app. So the mobile app is going to be something pretty basic with just like dice rolls and ship stats. I like the idea of having a mobile app and a main game, so you'll kind of have to have the mobile app to play the game. It's just, I think it's neat. I don't know. Okay. I think I have rambled through everything. So now, here is the new and improved StarBound Conquest page. So then now when you go to StarBoundConquest.com, it takes you to the login page. So you register. This was all part of the tutorial, was setting this up. I just styled it how it looked cool. I would probably not use a legitimate email. If you want to test this out, just use something and then password. It's very basic, very simple. It just, you can't get past this unless you register and log in. I don't see any of this information because it's converting it to a hash, and so all I see is this giant string. I don't see what your email and password is. Okay, so anyway, you register. I'm pretty sure I just forgot what it was, but then you can log in, and if you put in the wrong password, it tells you, hey, password's not right. So I think I did that right. So then, yeah, so it takes you into the game. This needs some work, but I'm happy with how it works. Okay, so some of the new factions. Here's what I'm talking about when you click on it. You see this. You can't see my finger. You see this little hex here? It draws the hex underneath of the ship, so you know where you're moving your token. Right? So then if you have to click off of it for it to go away. So you can honestly select a whole bunch of these and have tokens showing. But if you want to know where it is, if you want to know where you move, you can just see the bottom, or you can see through it. Double click, takes it away. So especially for these really big ones, you have all these really, really big ships. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I don't own the rights to any of these images. I'm just using them. But I might actually just look into seeing how much it costs to buy the rights to use it for this project from the actual creators, because I think they all have Patreons. So anyway, yeah, so you get these really big tokens and you can't see past them. Well, now you can. And then you can rotate them. So depending on the ship size is how much you can rotate it, and then you can move it around. So if you're highlighted over a ship, you try to zoom out, it doesn't let you zoom out, it just rotates it. So here's the zooming in and out function. Okay, so you see how here in the corner it's showing your zoom percent. So then you can move the screen around, but it doesn't zoom in where the mouse is. I think I can probably figure that one out. But yeah, so then it's 90%. Now you're at 100%, and then if you zoom in closer, it goes backwards. But you see what I'm saying? So if I zoom out, I'm at 60%. So the hitbox at 100% is right here in the middle. Well, if I zoom out, the hitbox it freaks out, and the hitbox is. So the hitbox for clicking on it is fine, but you know it's the mouse down a bit that's messing up. So I gotta work on that. But and sometimes the ship stays invisible. She's gotta click off of it. But yeah, so that's the game. I haven't put in a log out button. That was the other part of the tutorial that I didn't get to. But I wanted to talk about what I got so far because I've made pretty good strides. Yeah, so sorry for a long video. Hopefully somebody sat through this. I don't know. But, yep. Thanks for watching.